What's it like to be in a war zone, not twice, not three times, but a fourth time inside the mind of a soldier? Welcome to Purgatory. What's going on, freaks and freakettes? I am Spike.
And I'm Matt.
We are joined today by an awesome guest. This gentleman has been overseas 3 times already. He's about to go again after this tour. How long will you have spent overseas after this tour?
Collectively, I will have spent 3 years of my life in total over there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
why
long
I get irritated. Well, I get irritated like when people, well, you don't know the culture, you don't understand it. I'm like, I have lived amongst these people for a significant portion of my life.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your service. We appreciate you coming on the podcast. Our guest today, his name is Matt. He, like we said, he's a veteran of more than one war. I count Iraqi freedom as one war, and then enduring freedom as a second war, so how long have you been in the military? Like, how long have you been wearing boots for a living?
Well, I joined in 2003, in June of 2003, I shipped off to basic training, and I was 19, and I originally joined the reserves with the plan of becoming, going reserves, becoming an officer, going active duty, and then life happened, and kids happened, and deployments happened, and my first tour was the tail end of 04 and most of 05. So then the second one was in 2007, the third one was 2016, and then this one's going to be 2019-20.
Wow.
So it's a little over 16 years.
That's fucking gnarly. 16 years ago, I was 10, So, my life has obviously come a long way since then. I can imagine that your life has come a long way since then if you were like 19, 20, 21 in your first tour.
Yeah, well, it takes its toll. 2 marriages and soon to be 4 tours and 2 kids and all that. Like there's a lot of strain that comes with it. Regardless of your experience over there, the strain on yourself and your family and your kids and all that stuff, it can't be understated.
Yeah, I get that. And I've seen like older veterans that did 10, 20, 30 years in, and they've got like 1 combat tour,
Right.
And it's weird that like you have been in for around 15 years, or coming up on 15 years, if my math serves me correctly. And you're going on a 4th tour now, and it seems like now the boys are overseas way, 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 way more, at least a higher percentage of their total service time than they used to be.
Well, one of the things you have to keep in mind is, you're right, there are a lot of older veterans, and there's also a lot of people that are active duty. I work on a military installation now. I'm in the reserves now, so I work on a military installation as a civilian, and I'm seeing a lot of active duty people with slick sleeves and no combat patches, and they're starting to get up in the upper ranks, which is kind of a signpost of a quote-unquote peacetime military. But the reason that the op tempo is so high is we're trying to do far more with far less. At the end of World War II, there was something like, I want to say it was like 46 million people in uniform. And keep in mind the population of the United States at that time. And then during Vietnam, the people in uniform was somewhere, I think, in the teens. And now, if you cram anyone you can find into a uniform between all branches of the military, reserve, National Guard, active duty, every branch, everybody's reserves, you're looking at right around maybe 2 million, maybe.
Yeah, and with a population of 330 million.
Right. So it's less than 0.5% of the population that encompasses the entire armed services in all capacities. And so we just don't have enough people. That's why when people talk about cuts to the military and whatnot, that just means that the op tempo is going to get higher because your responsibility doesn't shrink. you know.
Yeah, like we're in just as many countries as ever before with less boots on the ground. That means you're just gonna have to be in overseas more. Yeah.
Right. Well, and it depends on how they deploy too, because I've met some people, like the Army does. Well, when I first came in, the Army was doing 12-month tours, and then the Army went to 15-month tours for a little while, and now the Army's back to 9-month tours. Back in the 90s, like in your Kosovo and Mogadishu and that stuff, those were like 6-month tours. Um, but now the Air Force is for a while they were doing 8 months. Now the Air Force I think is doing 3 to 4 month tours. So I've met guys in the Air Force that have done 8, 9, 10, 12 tours, but they're gone for
Far
4 months at a
shorter.
time. Right.
Would you prefer something like that? I mean, if you have like I don't know, 3-year-old kid. I mean, if you're gone for 9 months, that's almost a year of that kid's life. It's a different child that you're coming back to, a 3-year-old compared to a 4-year-old. So
I
would
think
you
it's a
rather do like a 90-day tour?
well, it's definitely a trade-off though, because doing a 90-day tour I think would be kind of better in the short term, but you're going to, like I said, you're going to do more of them. You're going to turn and burn a lot more often. So it's like,
Hmm.
do you want to be home? Do you want to be gone for, 3 or 4 months and then home for 6 months and then gone for 3 or 4 months again? Or do you want to do, 9 or 10 months in one stretch and then be home for 2 or 3 years? You know,
Yeah. Now, yeah, I can't even imagine making that decision. I have one more question for you, and then I want to kind of kick Matt into the fray here and let him ask you a few. But now, when you join, I'm sure there's a hua gung ho, ready to get your head shaved and get a rifle and be a soldier, and but I'm sure the novelty wears off, and then it just becomes a job.
right.
Now when does that happen? Like when did it happen for you? Was it 90 days, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? Like when is it just like this is my 9 to 5? It's the same as anybody else?
Well, a lot of families have like this pedigree of kind of what people tend to do, and in my family, a lot of people had just joined the military, and on both sides, and uncles and grandfathers and stuff. And so, I remember playing GI Joe as a kid and wanted to join the army ever since I was in kindergarten. And yeah, I showed up and I was eat your food fast and super gung ho and very stoic and all of the things. And as time went on, yeah, I saw the man behind the curtain. There's no real time frame that happens. Of course, your recruiter is going to spin the story of you might as well be the Master Chief. You're going to be so badass. You're going to truth, justice, in the American way,
Right.
and then you get there, and it does become a job. The difference is back in World War II, we had a global enemy to fight. They wore uniforms. We knew who they were. The forces of good and evil were a lot, I guess, less nuanced, and we were a lot more united in thought. And after World War II, when Hitler fell and the Japanese Empire fell, and like the Cold War started, Kennedy coined the term brushfire wars, where you could make the argument that we've been fighting World War III for decades,
Yeah.
but it's just not it's not one single conflict, and there's not one single enemy or end goal. It's just a perpetual, you know, military industrial complex. It's like you're on a treadmill. That's when it wears off, is when you realize that it's a job, where a mechanic will go and fix cars 5 days a week, or an accountant goes to an office, and then a soldier goes to war. That's just what they do, and at most you're trying to stem the tide and slow them down, and so they don't come to your home and start blowing up your buildings and killing your people, but
Yeah,
that you're never going to eradicate it.
it must be hard to not have like a fatalistic attitude of like we're never gonna fucking be done fighting.
Right. Well, you just do your part, and then you make sure you come home to your family and you did your job well while you were there, and that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Madman, what you got?
No, I was just wondering, like, cause I don't know if Spike told you, but I'm looking to like maybe join the Navy in the future. I was just wondering like more about how did it feel like during boot camp? You know, like how were you feeling like halfway through it, or maybe like on the bus ride there? Just more along the lines of that, like before you were even in it.
Well, a lot of that is going to be on how bad you want it. If you're jazzed about it and you're super motivated, you're obviously going to go into it with a little bit more of a mindset. There are some people that are told, go to join the military or go to jail, or they're in a tough spot, they need money, they need a job, and that's the only way they can do it. But if you genuinely want to be there, you're going to be a lot more receptive to it. There's a lot of anticipation, the knots in your stomach, the cold feeling in your throat, like on the bus when you get there. And I have found that people that grew up doing sports or hard labor tended to do a lot better because you're used to somebody yelling at you and getting in your face, and you're used to working until things are done. And you could definitely tell who was not used to doing that. But there's a lot of indoctrination, and there has to be, because you show up as a civilian, and then they break you down brick by brick, and then they rebuild you back up as a service member. And so for me, I showed up to Fort Benning, Georgia, and they took away our names. They took away our clothes. They took away any electronics that we had. I mean, cell phones were still a thing in 2003. They just weren't like smartphones. I was number 347, and that's how I had to answer when called. I answered to mail that way. Like, I was no longer me. I was number 347. And we got two 2-minute phone calls as an opportunity to call home while you were gone, and of course you could do paper correspondence, but
you're in
there's a lot of
Georgia,
isolation.
so it would take a week and a half to get there,
Right, but there's a lot of isolation, and there, like I said, there has to be, because they're intentionally cutting you off from the outside world, indoctrinating you with what a service member needs, and then also that forces you to have unit cohesion with the people that you're with, and you learn to depend on each other, kind of like a brotherhood. I have never been through Navy boot camp, but I would assume that all services have that similar theme.
Yeah.
You know what I think is kind of funny about the Navy guys? You see, like, the Army has their digital camo, and it's a little bit different from the Marines. The fucking Navy guys have blue camo.
No, the Navy, I'll tell you, the Navy can't decide what it wants to wear. They will wear the Marine camis. They will wear green digitals. They'll wear blue digitals. They'll wear the Army multicams. Like the Navy, just, I don't know. Maybe they reach into a duffel bag, but like, I've seen those dudes wear every uniform we got.
I'm pretty sure they switched back now. They're wearing like brown camos.
Oh, yeah. I just thought it was funny that like someone fucking falls overboard and they're like, I can't see him. He's wearing blue.
I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of people didn't, but I kind of liked the blue digitals on the Navy, just as like blue water Navy.
Well, it definitely set them apart.
Well, there is no tactical need for camouflage on a vessel.
Right.
I could. As a work uniform or a service uniform, they've got their dungarees or whatever, and whatever work uniform they work on a ship. But there's not a huge need for tactical camouflage in the ocean. I totally see if they're going to go on land, but on the ocean, not so much.
So to Mad's point question about some of the basic training and some of the getting introduced to stuff before it became just a 9-to-5 for you. What are some of the things that really stick out in your mind of like, either it could be like a funny thing, or like, what are some of the things that are burned into your head about some of your first experiences, maybe interactions with drill sergeants, or seeing like a pie-eyed recruit getting like broken,
Well, when I stepped off the bus, there was this little bitty Mormon kid, ginger, skinny, kind of short, and he had this big old head and he looked like a turtle. And he showed up to reception with like mid-back length, long red hair. And drill sergeant came up to him and, of course, singled him out, because how can you not notice that? and made him get down on his hands and knees and take his hair and clean the bus tires with his hair, you know, and get his hair cut off the next day. And of course, the guy was all distraught about his hair. And I remember thinking at the time, like, what did you think was going to happen, dude?
Yeah, no shit. Like, have your mom cut that shit at home, like.
Yeah.
Right, like, I mean, you're gonna show up. I mean, and yeah, if you got a weird sounding last name, they're gonna zero in on it. If you got a big ass nose, they're gonna zero in on it. If you show up with fucking, you know, mid back length hair, they're gonna zero in on it. You know.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
It's all right. No, but like, there was a lot of things that stick out in your mind. Of course, young kids and privates, you know, they're not trustworthy. You can't really trust them to do anything really on their own.
What about like the first time that you stepped off a plane and you were like, I'm in fucking the Sandbox. I'm in the Middle East right now. Like what was like the first time you saw, I don't know, like a fucking dude on a camel and you're like, holy shit, we're not.
Well, let me go back to what I was saying before. Like when I was in basic training, there was a time where we weren't allowed to have any sweets. Like in the mess hall, they would serve like cakes, and they had, you know, they had sweets available. We weren't allowed to eat them. And if, like, technically you were allowed to, but you weren't allowed to, if you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
So we were told to, after chow, do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups and then go on up to the bay. And then our drill sergeant left, and we lived on the second floor. Our drill sergeant, air quotes, left. And we were, of course, you know, we did like 10 or 20 and decided to go upstairs, you know, like, oh yeah, we totally did them all. Every time you see an NCO, you're supposed to yell at ease and go to parade rest, which it's a position of respect for the NCO.
Yeah.
And the NCO came by, we said, you know, at ease, and he goes, what are you saying at ease for, privates? With the drill sergeant right there. And less than 10 feet away is my drill sergeant he's just standing in a bush, not trying to hide. His arms are crossed, and he goes, holy fuck, it does work, referring to the camouflage, the old woodland camouflage pattern from that day on. I've been sold on it. But yeah, he was making sure we were going to do our stuff. We didn't do what we were supposed to do, and he smoked the shit out of us.
That's awesome.
But yeah, to your thing about the getting off the plane, the heat, that was the first thing. If you, like, I've flown commercial air a couple of times, I've flown on a C-17 a couple of times, but when that tail door comes down and the ramp goes down and you step off onto it, it is very apparent that you're on foreign soil. Like here in the United States, we have actual soil, and it's green and it's kind of spongy a little bit, and you know, but when that door goes down, there's this blast of heat that just hits you in the face, like when you open an oven. And then, but the air is also extremely dry, and you can feel the dirt, like the dust particles, getting on your eyelashes and on your face and in your eyebrows. And then you step onto the ground, and it's like just a fine sand or a fine powder or just extremely hard packed earth, and there's not a whole lot of greenery there.
So it's not like sand in a sandbox. It's like finer.
Sand in an ashtray, like sand in a public ashtray.
Fuck.
That's super fine sand.
Yeah, that sounds fucking great.
Yeah, it drifts like snow. Like when the wind blows, it drifts across the road like snow. It gets into any crevices or cracks if you have a window that has a bad seal, it's gonna drift into that thing. Your electronics are fucked.
Yeah,
like if you get a computer.
Go ahead, sorry.
If you get a computer or a PlayStation or something like that, it's a one-tour item. It's fucked at the end.
Like you get your clothes out of the wash and they're sandy already. Like there's sand in the washer.
Yeah, there's sand in the washer. I've sat down like with my pants and kind of, you know how you sit down and you slap your hands on your thighs like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then like just the dust goes. You know. Yeah, it gets in your lungs, and like, you know, you get the sand boogers, and it's gross.
Yeah. Now, you have told me before that there's been some really cool places that the Army has taken you, including like Europe, and you've had some layovers in some areas. Like what's one of the cool stories that like a heartwarming or like a funny story? I remember you told me about a carnival that you went to in I believe it was Germany, right?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of those. Like, the Army has taken a toll, but it's also afforded me some opportunities. And Matt, how you were talking about the Navy, if you do join the Navy and you get on a ship, you will see the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to Germany a couple of times, and the town of Kaiserslautern was throwing a carnival. And German festivals are really cool because there's a lot of beer, and they're a very beer and meat and starch based diet culture. And so they've got meat and sausages like everywhere, and pretzels and beer, and it's wonderful. And and you go in there, and there's this I don't know, do you remember the Omegatron from Worlds of Fun? I don't know, it's like those carnival rides where it's a giant pendulum, and the people are on one end of the pendulum and they swing it around.
Oh, okay. There was like a tomahawk type thing, like it fucking spins around.
Yeah, and so they had one of those there, but the difference between their version and our version was their version was a lot larger. I would say at least 2 times larger, and it was a temporary breakdown carnival ride. So this thing was enormous and movable. But the section that the people sat on, in addition to the arms swinging, the seating section swung independently itself.
It swung.
Swung.
Swang.
So I remember seeing it as I walked by. We went and did some stuff, came back. Okay, let's ride the ride. And my ex-wife, she and I were dating at the time, and this Irish guy was standing there watching the ride, and I was like, yeah, I don't. And you had to pay extra to ride the ride, so I think it was like €5 a piece, which the exchange rate, you're talking about like $8 or $9
$8,
yeah,
ish.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to ride it, but I don't know if I want to ride it €5 bad. And the Irish guy was like, I can tell you what, if you and the lady want to ride, I'll pay for the 2 of yous. And I was like, oh,
what a nice Irishman.
Irish stranger. Willing to pay for 2 stranger Americans' tickets. And so we got on the ride. Yeah, that's super nice out here. So we got on the ride, and it starts to go, and you know how like they check your harnesses, right? Well, I got my harness down. I was like, okay, this is comfortable. Well, the operator comes by, and he puts his foot on my chest and just pushes down, and it goes clack, 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 and ratchets down on my chest. And now it's too tight. I can't breathe. Like my diaphragm can't expand. And so I'm like, and so then he like,
and there's a language barrier, so you can't fucking tell him.
Right, and like I ain't no bitch either, right?
Yeah.
I ain't no bitch.
So then they put us up in the air, and to load the other car, because the counterweight is the second car full of people. Right. And so now I'm up in the air, and there are these ominous clouds coming in, these storm clouds, and I thought like, oh, okay, safety regulations, we're gonna go down and the ride's gonna stop before it even starts. There are a couple of things that the Germans do well. One of them is make cars, and the other one is wage world wars in the beginning.
Fight the world, yeah.
Safety is not one of the things that Germans do well. So like, not only did the ride not stop for the storm clouds, and like it started to rain and thunder's rumbling, but like I heard this animalistic scream of terror, and it was my ex-wife sitting next to me, and she's like, make it stop. And this other soldier they were with was behind me, and he said he started to freak out too, but then he heard me say, it's like, I said, don't scream, it's what they want.
So you're trying to be the voice of reason and go like, you're trying to calm her down and go, it's gonna be okay, like, but you're shitting your fucking pants too.
Well, I'm shitting my pants too, but also I'm thinking, because like you ride a ride at Worlds of Fun or the Carnival or whatever, and you ride, it's it's about a 2-minute ride,
Yeah.
And I thought like, okay, I just got to grin and bear it, it'll stop eventually, and then it didn't stop. Like earlier when I said, when I walked by the ride and I saw it running, and then we went and did something and came back, like that was the same ride. That was the same. So like this ride was probably, in terror time slows down, but this ride was probably legit like a 5-minute ride.
They wanted to make sure you got your fucking €5 worth.
And so, so we finally got off, and the Irish guy is doubled over laughing. He's got his both hands just holding his gut, and he's just laughing and pointing at us, and I'm stumbling off, and then my ex-wife immediately went behind a tent and vomited, and I went and got pretzels.
Fuck, man. So that's word of the wise. Don't let an Irishman pay your way onto a German ride.
Also, don't let don't let soldiers pay for your stripper either.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Oh, wait, hang on. Go ahead. Yeah, we got to fucking hear this one. Do you have time?
Yeah, I got time.
Yeah, let's
so
hear
this
that.
is the Germany thing. We were in Germany, and Germany has red light districts.
No, wait,
a lot of them in Europe.
hang on, real quick. I want to set this up. Now, you are in Germany on leave or on a training, or why are you in Germany?
We're there for a training mission. Well, it's not really a training mission. Like, my unit would go help out in the summer times in Miesau, Germany for a while.
Okay.
When they still had stuff going on there.
Okay, so Miesau, Germany, training, strippers, go.
Right, right. So we went to the town of Landstuhl, and it's really cool there. They got a castle that we went and saw, and they got a World War I cemetery, and all that stuff's really cool. But
hang on.
And I wasn't gonna.
You're breaking up again.
Okay, I'm just gonna pull over. But so anyway, we went to this red light district just to kind of see what it was all about, and there was this strip joint there, and we all went inside, and the stripper was asking for lap dances, and she is hot. I mean, she's Russian, and she is like a 15 out of 10, just gorgeous, and so she's asking for lap dances, and I'm like, okay,
Svetlana or something like that.
Oh yeah, blonde hair,
the whole
fits.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And but she's also kind of aggressive too, which can be hot. Oh yeah. And so I get a lap dance, and I think it's €10 for the lap dance. And so like American strip clubs, you go in and you pay for your lap dance, and they do their thing, and then one song and they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she starts grinding on me, and of course it's heavenly, and the song ends and she doesn't stop, and I was like, okay, and then she lays me down like on the stage, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then she starts to get more aggressive, and of course, like, it's been more than one song now. It's like I'm thinking this is like the Carnival ride, right?
Yeah. This isn't fun anymore. There's tits in my face for too long. Really.
Well, and what she did is she straddled me, like she like reverse cowgirl straddled me on my abdomen, and then like all of a sudden just wound up and then bear clawed my balls. Just like eagle claw, like ah! And I was like, oh my god! And then she like
all your soldier buddies are fucking laughing.
Yeah, they're laughing.
Yeah,
she tried to put her hands down my pants, but I wasn't wearing underwear, and she like got this like, oh my god expression, and I told her, I was like, I'm not wearing underwear. Because I didn't expect it to go this far.
Yeah, she speaks like 4 words of English, and underwear is not one of them.
Right. So like, my balls are aching, and like, I'm not having fun anymore. I really even had the thought of like, is this how they kill Americans? They're gonna lure us in here and take us. So then she finally does stop, and it's like probably 3 or 4 songs worth of stuff. So this is like
15 minutes. Yeah.
So I get up, and there is this pile of money on the stage. And what had happened is my dickhead soldier friends had continued to tip her, so she continued to fuck me up.
Oh,
fuck, man.
But yeah, like the army has afforded me a lot of those fun type of stories. There's a lot of those, but there's also some genuinely cool ones. Like I said, like we got to see the castle in Landstuhl, and we saw the castle in Heidelberg, and took a boat down the Rhine River. But even in the Middle East, my second tour, we were stationed right outside the biblical city of Ur, which is allegedly Abraham's historical home. So I got to, and they excavated it, and I got to be in Abraham's basement. That was cool. And then like a stone's throw from there was the Babylonian ziggurat, and that's a 4,100-year-old structure. So the
Holy
pyramids,
shit.
like it was old when the pyramids were built. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's there's a lot of really cool stuff that can be seen over there.
Yeah, but I mean, with any job, you got to take the crunchy with the smooth,
Yeah.
But I feel like it can be a good career for some people.
It definitely can be. It's extremely stable. That's one of the things that's hard for a lot of people when they get out of the military is what happens after the military, because a lot of people are, they're told where to be, when to be there, what to wear, what they're doing. There's always a handler, there's always a chain of command. There's a lot of structure in a military life and a guaranteed paycheck.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do anything illegal and you keep your fitness up to par, you're gonna have a paycheck for the next 30 years if you want one.
Mhm.
And a
Yeah, I
pension.
mean, it's definitely a needed thing. We need people to protect our freedom,
Yeah.
and some people, it's not for everybody. I mean, not everybody's a soldier, and that's why, of course, not everybody's a soldier. But if you fit that bill, it can be a rewarding thing.
Well, you're talking about being a 9 to 5. I mean, there's a lot of ways that it can be kind of like a 9 to 5, and you lose some of that motivation, and you kind of become disillusioned a little bit. But I genuinely do feel like I'm serving something bigger than myself, and that sacrifice is helping keeping the wheel turning here at home. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you got a leak in a dam, it doesn't matter if it sucks, you still got to plug the leak.
For sure, yeah. How much do you know about the Twitch universe, Matt?
I don't know anything about it. Nothing about that rings any bells.
Okay. So give him like the kind of the gist of the story.
All right, so pretty much we have this one of the biggest Twitch streamers over on their platform named Dr. Disrespect, and he was over at E3 this weekend, where like they show all the new games that are coming out this year or the next year, and he was going to the bathroom, so he tells his cameraman, "Hey, wait here," and his cameraman just proceeds to follow him in, and in the state of California, you can't record in bathrooms no matter what. And it's like it's time in prison, and it's like $1,000 fine. But if there's a kid in there, also like using one of the bathrooms, it's like double everything, like double the prison time, and then double like the $1,000, so $2,000. And so Twitch also has a rule where if you break a law, you're breaking a Twitch rule, So then they banned his channel, which is like his main source of income, and they one of the guys is gonna get jail time. They don't know if it's gonna be the actual streamer or the cameraman for following him in there, but someone's getting in trouble. And I thought it was crazy because they didn't just like notify him. They straight up just banned him.
So you're saying that the guy on Twitch had a cameraman, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Wait here," and the cameraman followed him in, and then everything went to hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I would imagine he would be able to appeal that, being like, of course, fire the cameraman and say, "Hey, I told him to stay right there."
You think he really did though? That's where it becomes weird, is because Dr. Disrespect could be like, "Well, I'm gonna go to jail. I gotta fucking say it's my cameraman's fault,"
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the guy.
Right. There would be a lot of he said, she said. So
yeah.
That's pretty shitty.
Who the fuck is going into the bathroom like that?
Yeah.
Well, why would you think that's a good idea? What's
up.
your reasoning?
That cameraman's not gonna go in there unless he was told to.
Right. Like, what's your reasoning? A to B to
Why
C.
would
but
he
also,
just
they would have had
do
to know the laws too.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. And I guarantee you that. Well, I'm not gonna guarantee. I have a theory. A game theory.
A game theory.
I think that Dr. Disrespect went, "Hey, come in and film me. It'll be funny because I'll be like taking a shit talking about E3," and then he threw his cameraman under the bus.
Yeah. That's plausible. But also too, like, I don't know if we have that law here or not, but I can like nothing about having your recording camera in a public restroom sounds okay to me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not cool. You should... That's one of like the California laws that I can get on board with.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna I had a tangent about E3, but
Go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
finish your thought. The thing about E3 is I'm pretty excited about that. Ghost Recon Wildlands Breakpoint is coming out in October.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good.
We got a date for Doom Eternal. It's coming out in November.
Also looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, and Halo Infinite
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
coming out next
number
year.
one.
What
So-
made me mad is people were talking about how Master Chief doesn't look futuristic enough. And we talked about this in the last podcast. We're like, he's been drifting around in fucking space for how long? He should look battered. He should have like scuffs and shit on his uniform because he's been fighting in that suit.
Well, I'm excited for the new suit. They're saying it's Mjolnir Gen 3, so it's like this is a new suit, and apparently it's supposed to be taking a lot of aesthetics from the Gen 2 suit, like the Mark 6 suit, where it's Halo 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's also taken a little bit of the aesthetics from the Forward Unto Dawn with like the 117 and stuff. But I like this suit. I'm excited because Chief looks like Chief again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from a story standpoint, as long as they make it make sense. I hated what they did when they in Halo 4 and 5, and they're like, it's nanobots that make things for reasons, you know.
Yeah.
And
to
four
me,
and
I was
five
like,
were
no.
so bad.
Like, no, dude, you're a new. What it was is we're a new company. We have your money anyway, so fuck you. You know. So
That's bullshit.
I just want a, from a story standpoint, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be one line of writing or dialogue, like, "Oh, Chief, we found a new suit, or we made a new suit," like they did in Halo 2, when they were like, "Hey, Chief, here's your new fucking suit."
Yeah, and it could be as simple as that, and they wouldn't even have to address it again.
Right.
You know. And well, I hope there's a good campaign. There has to be. Master Chief looks so good. And I loved in the trailer that they kept it bare bones. It was just him standing there being fucking huge. And I love that they put him next to a human being so you could see how big he was.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah. So
One
awesome.
of the things I hope they do is I love the Master Chief and I love Halo. But from this story standpoint, I was playing Reach last night with my daughter, and she's become quite the Halo player, but she loves story elements too.
Yeah.
And that we were talking about the difference between Reach and the other Halo games. And while I love the Master Chief, and it's designed to be a power fantasy, you're like this giant indestructible walking tank, there is never really any fear for the Chief's safety. Like, oh, you know, how's he going to get out of this one? You know, you might think it's a tough scrape, but you're not, you know, he's going to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And with Reach, you know, George was a Spartan too, and you know, but these different characters in Reach, like Kat gets killed from a random sniper round, like any soldier could have, just out of nowhere. You know,
Yeah.
George dies because of technical issues, not because of a wound or combat, but because he had to manually detonate a bomb. You know, another guy gets cocky, like, but those deaths had weight because they were final, and even though they were Spartan super soldiers, they were important. You know.
Now, do you
And
think?
so-
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
Well, I was going to say what I hope that they do is, and they've got it. They're treading on careful territory. They've got to write it really well. But I almost hope that Chief dies in this game.
That's what I was going to ask. Is do you think that it should be final and they should bring it to an end? And it's got. If they kill Chief, it's got to be some kind of fucking saving all of humanity or all of the universe from the flood, and he has to fucking.
Well, he's got to go out. If they kill him, he's got to go out like a Bon Jovi song in A Blaze of Glory, man. Like he, you know, they've got to write it really well. But I don't think that the death of Chief has to be the death of the Halo franchise. There are
Absolutely
a lot of other
not.
Spartans.
I agree.
I just think that Chief's story needs to come to a close, because it's almost kind of like when you think about Batman, like Batman's actually like the most inefficient crime fighter ever.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody.
Like, I just cleaned up this mess and.
Right. Well, everybody he captures always break out of prison. So Arkham sucks. with keeping people in behind bars.
Yeah.
Batman always has to catch the same criminal 15 fucking times, So, but like with Master Chief, how many times have we saved humanity, and how many times have we fought the Covenant? And I'm not saying that that's like mundane, but it's like when you start you're trying to set up that these are these monumental odds, and then Chief always comes out on top with that, you're like, oh, okay, well.
I have the same feeling with Marvel movies. I'm like, how many times can we save the universe,
Well, and it's also like with TV shows, like usually a TV show will be great for the first 4 or 5 seasons. About after season 5 is when it's kind of, they're searching for story,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of story like in Star Wars and Star Trek and Halo and all that stuff, but it's just, I think that Master Chief's story should come to a close.
I doubt that they will just because of the money. But I hope
that's true.
I hope you're right, though. And I hope you're right, and I hope they get it right and they do it well. Now, I wanted to bring up one more thing, then we'll bring it to a close because I know you got a jet. But Mad brought up in our last episode about E3 about Assassin's Creed, how it hasn't really been in a good place. And I did some grinding on Assassin's Creed, and we brought up like with this universe that they've created with the Animus and the whole Assassin's Brotherhood thing, how it's been around throughout history. You can put this story fucking anywhere, And something that I thought would be cool was if it would be like an Assassin's Creed Kennedy. Like you're
trying to kill or protect Kennedy?
Yes, like you're either like how Lee Harvey Oswald was killed later. Like you're either working to kill Lee Harvey Oswald, or you are Lee Harvey Oswald, or there's a grassy knoll
that's
thing.
Actually a really good. That's actually because that whole era, there's a lot of assassinations. There's Lee Harvey Oswald. There's Bobby Kennedy, Jack Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
Yeah, it would be very hard.
That'd be a good game, dude. I mean, it would be very like people would be very sensitive about it.
Controversial as fuck.
Yeah, but that'd be a great game because and
also
he's right. How it was a lot of assassinations.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be incredible, and it could be. No, it could be that Mad talked about how he wants some finality with Assassin's Creed, like one more good game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like if that one, there's never been a game like that. Like when an assassination on that stage, I don't think has ever been put into a game.
Well, the way that they've set up the Assassin's Creed universe, though, and the way you could do your game is like it's the Templars and the Assassins, and they've been fighting each other since time immemorial. And the whole premise is that they're in this endless struggle. So the only way to bring that to a close is to basically have them cancel each other out. Either there is one assassin left and no Templars, or they both kill each other and both sides are completely wiped out in some kind of huge final battle.
Yeah.
Or they just wrap up that story, or they just ride off into the sunset and they just don't ever do one again.
Yeah, we'll see. I was left with a good feeling after this E3. I felt like it was a good step in the right direction for gaming. So
yeah, well, you point to your thing about the premise of like if they did have an Assassin's Creed with historical assassinations, because like hell, you could even the game could even jump around. I mean, and do Lincoln and shit.
Yeah,
but the assassin could be the one trying to do the assassination, and the Templars could be the one trying to stop the assassination, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that they could do with that franchise that they haven't. Maybe it's because they're scared of being they need to be politically correct, Because if you make a game about assassinating, a president, then you could open the door to people making a game about assassinating a current president.
Right, and I get that, and I don't think that would necessarily be illegal either. I mean, I think it's in poor taste, you know. But I think if you handled those historical events with care and you wrote it well and you treated it with respect, where like obviously you're going to alter some things, take creative liberty for the game, But as long as you hit the major beats with historical relative accuracy, I think you would be okay, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. I was kind of pleased to hear what was coming out of E3 this year.
Awesome. Well, we're about out of time. I know you got to roll. We really appreciate you being on, man. This has been a great episode. I mean, I laughed, I cried, I lost 10 pounds. Yeah, we ran the whole gambit. So we really appreciate you coming on. We wish you the best of luck in this coming tour. We wish you we wish you good luck and that you return home safe. And we thank you for your service.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me on.
You wrapped it up really nice. I mean, I also want to say, like, thank you for your service and, like, thanks for coming on. I think it was a great podcast, and, you know, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll do it in the future sometime.
For sure.
Yeah, we definitely need to do an episode 2. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Check out the pledge tiers, anchor.fm. Support the show if you want to. Like, subscribe, share, the whole 9, and we will see you next time.
Bye.